want to talk about the 2017 version of It that recently came out to theaters. And there's a lot of ground to cover because I am a fan. First off, what I would like to say is that in terms of acting, directing, production value, script, pretty much in all forms of movie making, this was far superior to the miniseries. Now, before I go off and, compliment the movie too much, there is one thing specifically that I would like to bring up that I think is actually quite contrary to what a lot of people are saying about this movie. And that is that a lot of people are saying this is a way better adaptation of the book and that it's way more loyal to the source material. That's bullshit. As a huge fan of the book, I am here to tell you right now that, believe it or not, the miniseries actually bears more similarity to the book. Not just in terms of the time, being set back in like the really 1960, but basically the 50s, like the book was. Disregarding that, events that happened in the book happened in the miniseries. There were certain parts of the script that were literally taken line by line from the book. In terms of all the movie monsters and shit that were in it. Way, way, way more accurate to the book in the fucking miniseries. I had heard beforehand that the director of this new one didn't want to do the movie monsters, which, respect and stuff like that. It can take many forms, but, also having it set in the 80s, it's sort of like, what are you going to do, Freddy Krueger and like Jason Voorhees and shit? Because then it would just feel like, we've seen this before. So I get why he wanted to put his own monsters in the movie. Fair enough. And the thing is, even though, they put in a lot of the disgusting shit, you know what I mean? Like, all the gross shit that was in the book that, couldn't go into the miniseries because it was made for television, they put in. The fucking leper, the whole relationship between Henry Bowers and his dad. There's even other things that they took liberties with that were at least alluded to in the book, like the headless kid and shit. But the thing that made it okay, for the most part, was the fact that the characters were very well represented, and the kid actors in the movie were fucking fantastic. The one major issue that I have with this movie, Mike Hanlon bothered me in this movie, and it wasn't the kid actor, it wasn't him, it was a total choice on behalf of the script that really, really irked me, because Mike in the book and in the miniseries is the keeper of Derry's history. And they basically gave his character to Ben. And it's like, why'd you do that? I don't understand. All you did was you took Mike's character, who's a very fascinating character, and you turned him into, the fucking tough guy, basically. Just like the muscle. And I mean, that's really too bad, because it's like Ben, he's got enough of a fucking story, There's the whole love triangle between him, Bill, and Beverly Marsh. Also, they did this whole fucking thing, the book revolves a lot around, Henry Bowers' father has had run-ins with Mike Hanlon's father in the book. Mike Hanlon's father even, finds him on the street one day, puts a fucking shotgun to his head and says, "You call me the N-word one more time, and I'm gonna fucking blow your head off." And, there's this whole thing where, Henry Bowers poisons their dog and shit like that. There's, this long history. And his dad is the one who told him about the black spot and all this shit. But in this movie, his father is dead. His father and mother both died in a fire. And he's working on a farm with his grandfather killing sheep for meat. And I'm like, why? Why did you... I don't understand. It would have taken, even 5 extra minutes. They could have had a little bit more backstory with the Hanlon family and the Bowers family, and they could have fleshed out Mike's character a little more, and they could have just had his father. I don't understand why they even introduced a patriarchal male figure for Mike, who is his grandfather, if they weren't going to just put his father in the movie. There was no rhyme or reason behind that decision. So, I've addressed that. That is my one major gripe with the movie. Now, as to an It Chapter 2, I'm kind of fascinated, I really am, because a lot of people say that they kind of lose interest in the adults, part of the story. The thing is, and the way Stephen King wrote the book, and the way, in all God's honesty, they probably should do an adaptation is, the adults and the children's timelines are going, parallel to one another. When the adults arrive back in Derry, they're, smacked in the face by these memories. So it'll go from present to past to present to past. When they go into the sewers after Pennywise, it jumps between 1958 and fucking 1985. And it's just a really interesting way of telling the story. Now, because the next film is going to be just the adult part, and most people find the children part more interesting, there's a lot of shit that they did leave out in this version that they are, well, allegedly planning for the other one, such as the ritual of Chud. Like, those of you who've read the book know what that is. Also, they're planning on taking some more footage of the kids, hopefully not, before they've grown too much, but kind of like splicing it in between. The director has said that he wants to go back and like actually go a little bit more in depth about like the black spot and about like Derry's history and its presence in Derry throughout history. And even though this movie seems more circumstantial, I think they'll get more into like the destiny aspect in the second film, in which case I would say it would be very successful. Like, for example, I just bring this up, Kill Bill. First time I watched Volume 1 of Kill Bill, I was sort of like, what the fuck was that? I was like, this is a fucking weird-ass fucking movie. I don't get it. And everybody was like, oh, dude, it's genius. How could you not like it? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm just missing something, But then I went to see Volume 2. Which is, a lot slower, but it also has a lot more, like, story. It fills in all the gaps. And after I watched Kill Bill Volume 2, I was sort of like, oh, I gotcha. Now, Kill Bill as a whole experience, I go back, Volume 1 is my favorite, because it's got all the fucking action in it. I already know, like, what the whole story's about, so I know what's going on when I don't know. Same basic idea with this movie, I'm thinking. I do have to watch it again. I do get the impression that I have to watch it again, and I'll enjoy it a lot more the second time around. But yeah, no, good movie. Good movie. Not totally loyal to the source material, but overall really, really good. Like I said, everything from a movie-making standpoint, this was far superior to the miniseries. Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. I wanted to save that for last. Holy shit. Like, this guy was fucking amazing. I was watching a video on YouTube. I forget who it was. They brought up a good point that was Tim Curry made a really great killer clown, but Bill Skarsgård plays a great Pennywise. And I forget who said that, but they hit the nail on the fucking head. Because, like, Tim Curry was just a crazy fucking clown who ate kids. This motherfucker, he's otherworldly. His eye kind of like drifts off and like he looks like he doesn't quite, he looks not human. The way he acts, the way he moves, it's like he looks like he has sort of tried to hone in on like what makes a human form but hasn't quite figured it out, like this is not a mortal being. This is not like John Wayne Gacy. This is like some fucking thing that like we have no concept of what it is, and to some degree it has no concept of what we are, or as the story shall unfold, what power we might have over it. But yeah, with the weird smile and the weird lip thing and the drool and the fucking crooked eye and like even sort of like desperation at certain points, like you get the impression that like it knows it's not getting it quite right and it's like getting frustrated, It was just like, it was a very, very, very brilliant performance, and I think it will go down in movie history as like, a classic. This is going to be like Freddy Krueger status 20 years down the road. People are going to watch it and they're going to be like, fuck, man, that guy's fucking creepy. But at any rate, it was a good movie. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it. Now that I've seen it and I know what to expect, I want to see it again. I think I will like it better on second viewing. The one thing that I will say is anybody who fucking tells you that this is a better adaptation of the source material than the fucking miniseries, they need to read that fucking book again.